Good morning. Happy Monday. Today is episode 60 daily videos going through my journals of over 30 years now. And one of the things that is the greatest joy in going through this, we're on journal number 5 right now. One of the greatest joys of doing this process is seeing an idea that started in the front of the journal and is executed before the end of the journal. And this is one of those days. I went into my tickle trunk and found exactly what was conceived in this journal in 1997. And we had some amazing results with this. So a couple of things that convened here to make this possible. So on one page of the journal, I was really going deep into understanding why would people be selling their house? Why? I talked about getting a really deep understanding inside the mind of what's the conversation that's going on in the mind of the person who's going to be selling their house. And then the Dan Kennedy experience of hearing him talk about the intensification of, instead of mailing one time, mailing multiple times. And I had thought about the timing. Here in Florida, it's a sort of cyclical market in that and in most areas of the country, you're going to see that the market takes a double hump kind of approach, where if you start in January, you'll see that there's fewer homes that are sold. And then in the spring, March, April, May, there would be a peak, and then a little dip in the summer, and then another little mini dip mini peak in October. And so my thought was about the intensification is, why not go where the action is and get in front of this wave of listings that were going to happen in the fall? So the peak time to do it would be in the, if you're going to do a sequence mailing, is to work backwards from when the actual activity is going to happen. So if we're thinking, I decided that we were going to do 8 postcards. We'd mail 8 times into one particular neighborhood, leading into the peak time of when the houses sell. So we started right around now, August of 1997, and we mailed out, I created 8 tiny yellow postcards. These are just standard size, 1/4 of an 8.5 by 11. And I put all of those headlines that I was writing, because we found the what's going on inside the minds of people. So we started mailing. So here we go. There's the first one. Here's what to do now if you're going to sell your house in the next 6 months. And then this is the language that we came with there. What you do in the months before you put your house on the market will determine how long your house will take to sell, how much money you get for your house, and how easy or difficult your selling experience will be. And we were always offering the book, a free copy of my book, How to Sell Your House for Top Dollar Fast, and call a free recorded message. And then on the back of each, or the address side of each one, we had that find out how much your house is worth for free over the phone. Now remember, the internet isn't a viable option here, so there's no website to send people to, no QR code for people to scan, which are 2 really viable things that we use right now. But there was the first one. So we mailed, here's what to do now if you're going to sell your house in the next 6 months. Then here's how to find out what homes in any neighborhood are really selling for. because a lot of the hearsay of things, what you hear people got, is very different than what the reality is. Of course, this is before Zillow, too, so people aren't looking at Zillow or Realtor.com. They had no access to all the information. So you offering the information is definitely scratching the itch that they're looking there. Find out how much your house is worth for free over the phone. Here's what it really costs to buy a bigger home. Hint, it's less than you may think. A lot of times people think, oh, it's expensive to buy a bigger home. Sell your house in as little as 24 hours and laugh to yourself at how easy it was. Here's another one. I started looking for the buyer for your house 180 days ago. And then what to do now if you're going to buy a bigger house in the next 6 months. See, we're kind of going through and hitting every thought that somebody in this neighborhood might be thinking. Here's a guaranteed way to sell your house in less than 60 days. Here's what to do now if you're going to sell your house in the next 6 months. And so when you look at these, when I look at the collection of this, we started at the end of August. We mailed every week for 8 weeks into a neighborhood of, we'll call them starter homes, homes that first-time buyers could buy, and homes that people in that area were moving to bigger homes. It's a transitional neighborhood. And I think there were about 2,000 homes in this neighborhood. And from the time we started this, Julie had sold 0 homes in this neighborhood in the last 12 months. And in the 8 weeks, or from then till the end of the year, she got 5 of the 25 listings. So a 20% market share, from 0 to 20% market share in a market that she had no footprint in before, by getting in front of people right when they're thinking about making that decision. So this is a transferable strategy. You could do this for anything. You think about the timing of what people are going to do in your business, and just lag back and do at least 3 sequenced mailings and see what happens. I think you're going to be delighted that you're going to make a good impact and get a headway into a market that maybe you haven't had any activity in before. I got a funny email the other day from Rick. It says, Dean, question. Are you saying you can teach me to make fat stacks by hanging out at a pub, drinking coffee like you? And I laughed to myself because I was thinking, yes, I can do that. That's what I do. Is the funny thing, what I really realized is that every idea that I've had, every dollar that I've made over the last 30 years has gone through my brain, through my pen, onto a piece of paper in my journal before it went out into the real world. And if I can turn people on to that activity as a driver for what to do, what to think about, what to ask yourself to draw out, what the next most valuable action is for you, and how to find the most profitable things that you can install in your business, I'm all for it. So this Friday at 1 p.m., I'm going to do, for the first time, a 50-minute profit finder workshop. And you're going to join me live on Zoom, and we're going to go through a 50-minute exercise. Bring your pen, bring a notebook or piece of paper, and I'm going to guide you through a thinking process that will help you identify where the lowest hanging fruit is in your business, and maybe some fruit that you didn't even know was there, but I'm going to show you where to look for it. So it's free. It's for you. It's Friday at 1 p.m. this Friday. Just go to What did we call the website, Josh?
50-minute profit finder.
Just go to 50minuteprofitfinder.com and I'll get you all the details, and hopefully you can join us then. Friday, 1 p.m.